turn on the recording. The Four Noble Truths in the early Buddhist teachings are kind of a major or the major template for the delivery, for the communication of the Dharma. And so the first of the Four Noble Truths is acknowledging that suffering is present. It's understanding, it's comprehending that suffering is present, and this is actually big. It's big to notice that. It's really important, because if we don't notice it, then we think that, well, this is just the way life is, or we don't even have that thought. It's just the way it is, and there's not a self-awareness that the suffering is there. The awareness that the suffering is there gives us the recognition that it could be otherwise. It could be, we could be freer. We could be more spacious in our hearts and minds. And so then in kind of moving through these four noble truths is how they've been called, but it sounds very static. It's really four inquiries, four ways of inquiring into the ennobling of our being. How can we become more noble? How can we become more free, less caught, less compulsive and driven? And so it's the translation is lacking. So sometimes they're called the four ennobling truths, which is also a little awkward. But so the second is, okay, so what's causing this suffering? Where is it arising from? And so, a key teaching in Buddhism is the teaching on dependent arising. And there's a very kind of simple iteration of this dependent arising teaching, which is, when this is, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this is not, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. And so, what does that mean? It means that the cause of suffering is not that I'm a bad person. It's not that I was born into the wrong caste or the wrong family, or that somehow I'm fundamentally less or flawed. It's not that I'm incompetent. The cause of suffering can be understood, and we have, in understanding, we can let it go. We can abandon, we can let go, renounce those causes. And so, just really in a nutshell, trying to express very succinctly teachings that, were very elaborated with, a lot of different, in a lot of different discourses, but we experience the world through the body and mind. We experience life comes in through our senses. So the five senses and the mind. So eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Touch is body. And then the mind are thoughts, concepts. So we take in life. We're like radio receivers. We're taking in through our senses in the spectrum that we can receive. And with the taking in of sensation and including concepts, each one is accompanied by a feeling tone. So we experience things as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So if you perhaps have a thought of, taking a walk in the woods by a bubbling stream, like I did the other day, and that arises in my memory, and so that has a pleasant feeling tone, and I can feel that energetically. I can feel that feeling tone, um, uh, in my body and in my mind. I don't control that feeling tone. It just arises. And um, and similarly, if we have something unpleasant or painful, let's say painful arises, it's usually accompanied by an unpleasant feeling tone. So we stub our toe, we remember a difficult situation, and we have unpleasant feeling tones. And so, and then neutral feeling tones are just a lot. Most of our experience is usually pretty neutral. It's like sitting in a chair, the feeling of sitting in a chair, or perhaps breathing. Breathing tends to be neutral unless we have a bad cold and we're all stuffed up. So the Buddha's teaching on dependent arising points out that we tend to cling to what is pleasant, and we tend to resist or push away what is unpleasant, and we tend to ignore what is neutral. So both and in 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 pointing to the cause of suffering, the Buddha used the word craving. And craving can be either grasping or resisting or ignoring, kind of disconnecting. And so this engagement, this identification of craving, this identification and reaction is better than engagement. That's not quite the right word. Creates suffering, and then we get into clinging, which is the next step after craving, and then we're thinking about how can I get this, or how can I get rid of this, or this is, I'm such a bad person, moving into a sense of self-construct, and so on. And so simply recognizing that we're caught in craving, we can just step back and look at, oh, okay, there was a pleasant feeling and I'm wanting to hold on to it. There was an unpleasant feeling. I'm wanting to get rid of it. There was something that I just spaced out on, and so I'm disconnecting. And so it just brings us, so mindfulness is a kind of a wedge that we can place between feeling tone and craving, which is what leads to suffering. So, so just learning to be with feelings as they are, with feeling tone, as they are, is is such a key practice. And so, so it might be something that you notice in your sitting practice as we move into sitting practice. That you notice, oh, that thought was pleasant, and I'm getting caught up in wanting something that's not there. Or that thought was unpleasant, and I'm getting caught up in resisting. Or that sensation is pleasant or unpleasant. And and learning that we can be with, because these feeling tones are very impermanent. I mean, they're ephemeral. Once we become more mindful of Vedana, feeling tone, we we recognize how quickly they come and go. We recognize how choiceless they are. They just arise. We don't have the power to decide if we're going to um, feel something as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And so there's a lot of freedom, of opening to a lot of possibility for more freedom when we notice that sensation, including thought, arises with feeling tone. And what we're really chasing after a lot of the time is pleasant feeling tones. You know, we we think that we can have a life which is filled with pleasant feeling tones, and we can't. So it's just allowing, opening to the flow of feeling tone, recognizing that there's pleasant, there's unpleasant, and there's neutral. There's a lot more that can be said about this, and we'll see if you have a few minutes at the end. But maybe in your practice, I'd encourage you to notice how, when a thought arises, an emotion arises, a sensation arises, to notice the feeling tone that's connected with it, that co-arises with it, and notice how the mind tends to move toward grasping or resisting or spacing out, tuning out, disconnecting. So that's the invitation, if you'd like. And so please, let's begin. Let's take a posture for meditation. You can kind of turn off the camera or turn away from the camera if that feels comfortable for you, more comfortable. We can begin by I invite you to begin by just bringing an intention to this sitting. It might be something that you have been working with to open to it, to something that maybe feels like a struggle, to allow it to just be received. It could be just to dedicate yourself to continuing to deepen in practice. And some element, I encourage you to bring some element in your intention for the benefit of others, for that your practice can nourish, can support, can be a benefit to others in your life and beyond, because the benefit of our practice extends boundlessly beyond what we can see or measure. And arrive in the body, bring a sense of mindful presence, mindful awareness into the body, sitting on the earth, supported by the earth. And as we feel that support of the earth, also bring a quality of energy to the spine, lifting from the base of the spine through the crown of the head. And the body expresses, in resting on the earth, expresses trust. And in lifting from the base of the spine through the crown of the head, it expresses commitment. Invite the body to relax around that energized axis of the spine. Relaxing the face, the jaw, throat, the heart, the abdomen, the arms and the legs. Gathering attention around the breath. And you might be very precise as you gather your attention around the breath, feeling the breath in a particular place. Which might help that kind of gathering in of the fragmented, scattered mind. And as you continue, you might allow your attention to rest more with the whole body, a sense of the whole body breathing, the whole body alive, the whole body sensing. As you rest your attention in the whole body, if that is where you are with your attention. I invite you to notice the flow of sensation. Feeling pressure, feeling soreness, feeling tingling, feeling warmth or coolness, and also noticing thoughts, emotions, and bringing attention to the feeling tone, the quality of pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant or unpleasant, which we call neutral. And explore if you notice the mind tending to grasp and want to hold on to that which is pleasant. Notice if you can see the mind resisting, pushing away, or avoiding, feeling tones of unpleasant which arise with sensation. And notice if you disconnect, space out, ignore that which is neutral, that which arises with neutral feeling tone. So I invite you to explore this for as long as you would like. It's potentially very powerful and liberating to recognize that we're simply trying to escape unpleasant feeling tones or hold on to pleasant feeling tones, which is really um, not possible to do. And we can adjust that by being with things as they are, being with feeling tones as they are, and recognizing that we have the capacity to be with both pleasant, unpleasant, and well, with all of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling tones without reactivity, that we can be open, mindful, and spacious, allowing as these move through our awareness. For the last few minutes of the sitting, I'd like to guide a meditation on compassion. So I invite you to bring your attention to the heart and bring to mind some being or um, some place, perhaps, where compassion arises within you as you consider that being, their circumstances, or that space, some place that you're aware of, you're familiar with, perhaps in some way. Something that evokes compassion for you. And allowing that compassion to be known, to be felt, or if it's more a mental experience, to be experienced in the mind. And that compassion can be experienced in the whole body. So experience or invite that compassion to flow from the heart through the whole body. Just bringing compassion for this being, sitting on your chair, in your cushion, your bench. For the way that suffering is created in the mind, suffering from habits of grasping, resisting, disconnecting. Let that compassion flow within you and beyond you, allowing the boundaries of the body to dissolve and allowing that compassion to flow to the front, to the right, to the back, to the left, above and below, and within. A field of compassion which embraces all beings, all life, all of Mother Earth. And where you feel that there are some blocks to that compassion or some contractions, just allow compassion to touch that. And I invite you now to dedicate your practice to the benefit of all. May our practice and our lives serve the happiness, well-being, and liberation of all beings.